Hello and welcome to Microsoft Hates Greg. My name is Greg Deckler, and today we're making the video Microsoft Fabric Data Science Part 2. Now I realize it's been like 2 weeks since Part 1 came out, over 2 weeks. And you may be wondering why it's taken me so long to get this second video out. And just quite frankly, it's procrastination on my part. Right? I mean, if you watch Part 1, just nothing in the Microsoft Fabric's data science, when I just did initial just brief look at it, nothing excited me to like even take a step further. So I've been procrastinating making this video and going and making the second part of this just because it's gonna be like the least fun video I've ever made. And that's how I felt, and I was pretty much confirmed. So now I did promise that I would keep the bitching and moaning to a minimum, and I fully intend to make good on that promise. But no guarantees. There's just certain things, right? And let's get back here. I got my comfy Microsoft Fabric robe on. Got my sweet tea here, jug of sweet tea. I'm a bachelor, so we just drink straight from the bottle. And I got my Married to Microsoft Tabular ring on, or my Married to Tabular ring on. So I went to German festival this past weekend, yesterday actually, and there was a vendor there, and they had these rings made out of old typewriter keys, and this typewriter key happened to say Tabular. So I thought that was funny, and so yeah, now I can say I'm married to Tabular. Okay, so all that out of the way. Microsoft has out there in their data science documentation, and it's Learn Microsoft Fabric Data Science. And we have data science end-to-end, end-to-end scenario, introduction and architecture. So you go through here, it doesn't really say much. It just kind of gives you a diagram and blah, blah, blah. So moving right along, we go to prepare your system for data science tutorials. Great. Prerequisites: you need Microsoft Fabric subscription, preview trial, sign up for Fabric, switch to data science, and etc. So, but it's great, except that first things first, I'm approaching this for the first time. I probably don't even have a workspace for this thing. So first thing we're going to do is go create a workspace. Actually, just skip over. I guess that's end to end for you. All right, so I've been through this once. This is my Data Science 1 workspace. And here's all the artifacts that got created as I went through the scenario. I got a couple notebooks here, a few notebooks. There's a data set, SQL endpoint, lakehouse, and another notebook. Data set, experiment, model, report. Okay, great. We'll be creating all of this stuff, or at least most of this stuff, as we go through this. But we want to get a new workspace going here. So this is going to be called Data Science 2. All right, and yep, we'll make sure, it's trial for Fabric, apply that. Okay, so now we're in our Data Science 2 workspace. Back to the instructions. So, import tutorial notebooks. So to get started, notebooks, download the notebook.ipynb files. Guess that's what those things are. I don't know what the I is for, but Python and notebook, I would assume, but I don't know what the I is. Anyway, for the parent folder, Data Science, and there's a link. Let's go here. And we go to this link. And I'm immediately not having a good time. Because I'm in Git. And speaking of god-awful worst UI UX experiences on the planet, Git ranks right up there. And I'll tell you why. Because I'm supposed to download these files, right? And so but can you select all the files to download? No, that doesn't work. There's no checkbox. There's no, hey, download these files. I mean, trust me. I mean, if somebody knows, I've searched everywhere in this interface for the ability to just download these files, but it doesn't exist from what I can tell. So what do I get to do? You get to click on each one of them. You get to click on each one of them, and then there's a download button over here. So I download it. All right, so there's one, and I get to go back and do it again. It's just incredibly painful to have to do stuff like this that should be in every other file interface on the planet, right? Other than Git, you can download multiple files at once, but I have yet to find a way to do that with Git. So we get to do it one at a time. So I'm already having a bad time. I haven't even gotten started on the demo. I'm just downloading the stuff I need for the demo. Okay, so I got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Great. Back to the instructions. Okay, so now we gotta say in data science experience homepage, we want to import the notebook. So what am I supposed to do here is I have to go to data science and click on the little button. And of course, we're in Synapse data science, right? So I kind of go down here and go to data science. And I'm in Synapse data science, not Fabric data science, Synapse data science. Great. All right, so now we get to import notebooks. All right, we'll do that. Can I do more than one at a time? Well, yes, I can, because it's not Git and doesn't suck as bad as Git sucks. So let's do that. And we're going to do a lot of this during this video, people. Just warning you in advance, there's probably going to be times when you're just going to want to skip ahead because you get to stare at paint drying for quite a bit of this. Okay, so now we've imported successfully, and it says, what are the next steps here? It says import the tutorial, upload, and go to workspace. So let's go to the workspace. So here in my workspace, I've got my importer notebooks. Awesome. Import notebooks are available. Attach a lakehouse to the notebooks. So so this is kind of interesting. This gets kind of interesting. Open the notebook in the window, add the lakehouse, select workspace and lakehouse you intend to use with it. Once it's added, blah, blah, blah. Okay, but I don't have, I mean, I could use my lakehouse from my other one that I did already, but if I'm going through this for the first time, I probably don't have one of those. So what they're saying here is go into your notebook and you add a lakehouse. Now, let's pretend this is my very first time. I'm not going to have a lakehouse. So I'm going to have to say new lakehouse. So immediately instructions are kind of wrong. So we're going to call this data science lakehouse 2. Because I've already done one of these. So say create. All right, so now I've got tables and files, but there's nothing in them right now. So then let's go back here. So prepare your system. Okay, now ingest data into Fabric. So now we're on to this step 1. All right, lakehouse collection, blah, 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 prerequisites, the same stuff. Follow along in the notebook. So this is what's interesting to me about these instructions, just how bad they are. So they talk about what's going on, and it's just Python code, people. So if you think it's anything fancy, it is not. It is Python code. That is all this is. But they don't actually tell you like what to actually do, right? They're just like, oh, this is what the Python code is doing, right? Well, okay, that's great, but what am I supposed to do with this Python code? Well, as it comes out, they have these little run buttons here, so I could run this Python code, and then I could come down here, and I could run this Python code, and then I could run this Python code. But nothing in the instructions tell you what to do or how to do it. So in this case, we're just going to hit the run all button, and we're going to let it go. So if you're having any confusion from the instructions, no, the instructions don't actually tell you what to do. You just have to kind of figure that one out by your lonesome. All right, so we get these little spinning wheels here. Again, I said a lot of this was going to be watching paint dry, so. All right, how are we doing here? Got through the first one, 14 seconds, Apache Spark session started. And then let's see, I got through the next one, and that one's running now. It's been progress. We can see like stuff that's going on. It does have like little output stuff. I mean, job 8, job 9. I don't know what any of this stuff is that it's doing or how these jobs get created or who knows. It's just running Python code. Apparently that's spinning up some kind of Spark processes or something in the background. It's unclear. They don't really give you a lot of insight into that. This one just ran. Apparently there's no more detail about it, or there's no output from that one. Oh, we're still waiting and waiting and waiting. We're at 0 of 16, succeeded in 2 running. There's what's running. That one has, I mean, stage 15, stage 16. It's just very unclear. It gives you a lot of information. I don't know what the heck you're supposed to do with any of this information, other than just kind of watch it, be like, oh, let's do this. Yeah, and we're at minute and 37, 38 seconds. There's one of these processes we'll probably have to skip over because it's like literally, or we'll have it run the background and kind of go do some other stuff because it literally takes like 15 minutes. I don't think you guys want to like watch this run for 15 minutes. Okay, so it looks like it's all done. So everything looks like it's all done. So what was this supposed to do? Ingest data. We're supposed to ingest data into, so apparently we're supposed to have a table now in our lake house. And this ingest is from the New York City taxi, like pickup and drop off times. And I guess we're trying to predict like how long if I get a taxi this time in this date, in this location of the city, how long does it, how long is this cab ride going to take? I guess that's what we're trying to predict. So, okay, but I don't have anything here. There's literally nothing here. Now what's the data? So blah, blah, blah. You can view the NYC in his taxi, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so let's just go back and take a look at our lake house, I guess. I guess we could go here and then go to, where's our lake house? Here's our lake house. Oh, so there's our table now. So this is our raw data table. And this is going to eventually load, I guess. But again, still, if I go here, there's nothing. Now if I read, and the other thing I don't understand about all this is this stop session. It's like all the code is run. I don't know why this stop session, like, do I need to stop the session? Do I not need to stop the session? So let's just go ahead and refresh. So now apparently my session is stopped. Oh, no, it's not. It's back again. But at least I have my table here. I can see my table and I can see my raw data columns in that table. Okay, so success, I guess. All right, so let's move on to the next step. We've got our data loaded up. Good for us. Explore and visualize data using Microsoft Fabric notebooks. So again, the prerequisites, blah, 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 follow along in the notebook. Again, it doesn't tell you what to do, but we're supposed to go on to the next notebook. So we go back to our workspace. Here we have our second notebook. This is where things get just, and of course, I don't have a lake house associated with this notebook. So what do I get to do? Get to do it over again. Add existing lake house, data science lake house 2. We'll add that one too, and we get our table here. We're supposed to explore and visualize data, run delta table in lakehouse to create a pandas data frame on random sample of the data. So it's supposed to create a pandas data frame. And it goes down here and it's supposed to like blah, 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 create all this stuff, right? So we're just going to run it. Just run all again. So we get to watch some more paint dry. Yeah, so I mean, so already it's just interesting to me that it's just WordPad with with Python that you're running Python code in. I don't know what I'm supposed to learn from any going through this getting started, other than I need to go learn a bunch of Python. They've written it all for you. Like, why would I use a seed of 1, 2, 3, 4? They don't really explain any of that. What is this? I'm reading from my table, right? And then I do a seed of 1, 2, 3, 4, sample data frame, data.sample, true, seed. I don't know why I should use that seed or shouldn't use that seed. Then 2 pandas, which then I guess is the data frame. So let's see. We've run. Has everything run? That's run. That is run. That ran. So this is then using a bunch of Python code to create visuals, which, I mean, who knows what it's really telling me, but it sure tells me something. I don't know how I had to replicate this on like my own data. I have no idea what this is doing down here. I don't know if it ran or not. Stop session. Am I supposed to click it? Not supposed to click it? Looks like everything ran. I don't know with that when that shouldn't that end my session? Maybe not. Yeah, so it looks like it just generated all of this stuff, which was already there before, but whatever. Figured I'd run it for you just so we can get through this example. Okay, so that's really all this tells you. Just blah. Hey, we created some stuff. So observations, they talk about some observations and blah, blah, blah. On to the next step, perform data cleansing and preparation using Apache Spark. Okay, so this is done, I guess. So we'll go back to this, and then we'll do this third notebook here. And guess what? Nope, no lake house associated, so I get to do that manually yet again. Awesome. Okay, so this is where we load the data, the taxi, we Spark read, them from the table. Maybe if I know some Python, I wouldn't call myself an expert in Python, because I don't like the language at all. But we're gonna hit run all again. Now this is the one that takes like 15 minutes or so to actually accomplish the feat. So we may move ourselves over to the first one that I did, where this step has already been done. But what's supposed to be going on here is that, okay, data cleansing. So I've got my raw data. So what the end of this thing does is it's supposed to create another table in our data set or in our lakehouse. That is the prepared data, where we've gone through according to, we've figured out some stuff about our data. And so we're taking out like null values and trip distance greater than 0. Fair amount is between nothing and 100. Okay. I'm assuming it's supposed to be 0 and 100, but whatever. Trip duration is less than 3 hours, 118 minutes. Passenger counts between 1 and 8. So anyway, it's just, we're cleansing our data, right? So it's basically this data frame with blah, 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 with a bunch of filters. Now, the interesting thing about this, so this is the step that runs for like forever. Let's go back to step 2. Let's go back to step 2, and let's look at this. So this is supposed to create a pandas data frame for us, right? I go here and I go to launch data wrangler, and okay, so there are the data frames. So preview data range, so PV data view, sample data view. I don't know what any of these are. Click on them. Now this isn't part of the demo or anything, but so this looks kind of similar to, are these actual columns in my columns and then rows? So that I don't know what exactly I'm looking at, but it created some kind of data frame, and I can kind of look at it and look at quality of data. So that's kind of cool. Choose an operation to get started. No operation. Operation. Search for operations. Find and replace. Drop duplicate rows. Okay, so I can do some additional data wrangling here, visually at least. Although this doesn't look like Power Query. Power Creator doesn't look nearly as I would call graphical or powerful. It's very kind of limited here. I only got 4 things I can do: 7, 3, 4, 5, 2. It's a far cry from like the several hundred operations I can do. It does give us some kind of grouping kind of stuff and new column by examples. So I'm not sure if I did this, would that be saved back into, would it be saved back into the data frame, or can I only save it as CSV? Or I guess apparently I could add the code to the notebook. So this would be more along the lines of what I was talking about, where, okay, if we can like building a notebook visually, like the way Power Query operates, right? So we have Power Query, and it's got the GUI, and we can do all these operations, and then it builds the notebook for us. So I don't know why we can't have the same concept interface. Obviously, they have the same similar concept interface, fairly limited, I would call it. But I mean, obviously, I can't do that in terms of so have like Visual Studio or Machine Learning Studio Classic, where I could just drag and drop stuff, and configure the widgets and then have it build that notebook and all the code behind the scenes. For some reason, apparently that's beyond the capabilities of Microsoft to accomplish. So let's go back to this guy. Let's get an update. So it's only been it's only been on install like 4 minutes. Anyway, so let's see here. So let's go back to workspaces, go to Data Science 1, where I've already run this. So after that step, essentially, what we should get, if I go by my lakehouse, I should have this table, New York City taxi prep. So basically what it's done is taken the raw data here, and then I've prepped it via a bunch of more Python code, which is fun, and made it this prep table over here. And then in the other steps, we'll get to this prediction table. All right, that's what this step is supposed to do. So we're just going to kind of, while that's running in the background, we're going to go ahead and flip over to this Data Science 1. And let me get rid of these things because these things build up over time, and then eventually there's too many of them and it yells at you. The Data Science 1, so now we're going to move on to this train and track machine learning model. So it's the next notebook. And I have already associated the lakehouse with this because, again, I ran through this. But if we were in the other environment, which hopefully we'll get through this and maybe it'll be done, and then I can go back and kind of finish up that initial one. But we're supposed to train and register a machine learning model. So let's go ahead and do that. So once that is done, we get our prep table, and then we, again, follow along in the notebook. They don't tell you what to actually do, but basically it just involves this button here, run all. And I've already run this once, but we'll run it again. The session started in 3 seconds. And again, the session runs, but then once it's done running the code, it doesn't stop the session automatically. You have to stop it manually. Doesn't matter if you stop it manually. You just not stop it and just leave it run. Is that going to cost me money? All these questions. All right, so this is running from random split. This is pretty standard machine learning stuff. I mean, I don't know what somebody would do if they're brand new to machine learning because this stuff is not explained well at all. I understand what's going on, right? You create a data set, you take a sample of the data set, and you train your model on it, and then use that model to then go against the other data set to test out how well your predictions have occurred, how well your model performs as far as predictions. It's a classic machine learning setup. So basically, you just split your data set, and then you have one as your training data set and one as your kind of confirmation in testing data set. So that's what this is doing. I'm not sure why it's taking minutes in order to do a random split, but it is. Hash the data frames to improve the speed of repeatable reads. Okay, so that's, yeah, none of this is, I just very light on the explanations for a lot of this stuff. And again, okay, they talk about this, where is it? The light GBM regressor model using MLflow. Where's the first instance of that? We do that, perform a random split. Okay, there's light GBM. They give you a link to it. I guess we could click on that link since we're watching paint dry here. Light GBM. Welcome to Light GBM's documentation. Yeah, okay, this is great. Again, I keep comparing this to Machine Learning Studio Classic, which had fantastic documentation about all the different um, machine learning models that there were, or in algorithms and stuff that you could employ. You could see them all. In this case, I don't even know how you would even know what algorithms you would have available to you, other unless you basically know Python backwards and forwards, as far as all that stuff goes. Okay, we're down to here where so the hyperparameters, they don't really explain those. They're just like, hey, they're parameters, and why would I use these parameters? They don't really tell you why you would use this parameter versus another parameter, but who knows? I mean, they've chosen them for you. But again, I'm not sure what you're supposed to be learning from this. If you were brand new to this, like you're a Power BI user, and now you've got all this Fabric stuff in here, it's like picking all this machine learning stuff up from scratch. I don't even know how you would do it with this level of documentation they've provided. It's god awful. Um, like with machine learning classic, that was very easy to pick up and understand all these types of things, and they gave you great explanations for them. That these are just like, hey, here's some parameters. We don't. Why would you use 1,000? Why would you use 31 versus 32 or 30, or a learning rate of 0.1 versus zero point 0.2, or an alpha of 0.8 versus 0.9? None of it's explained. None of it's explained at all. So this is running. Let's go back and check our run 4. This is data science 1. Let's go back to our data science 2 and see how our, what was it, 3 that we were running? Assuming it's still running. Did it not run anymore? Did it cancel out because I went to a different workspace? I mean, I didn't stop my session. Was it? Save, cleanse, and repaired? So I don't know. I don't know. Did I screw it up? That's 6 of 8 succeeded. So I think it's still running. Okay, it's up to 10 minutes and 29 seconds. So it didn't stop. The counter stopped. So well, I guess this is 47, 48 seconds in addition to this 10 minutes and 29 seconds. So I guess it's still running. At least it says it's in progress. So good to know we didn't screw that one up, I guess. Back to data science 1. We were on Thor. Let's see where we're at on this one. I like how these little things just appeared. So which one is running currently? Oh, here we go. It's this one. Spark job progress. You get these little warnings, and I don't know what these little warnings mean, but apparently we have data skew and we have time skew. I'm not sure what that. Oh, we got some more time skews. So apparently you drill down into these things, and I can see that max task dat. Assuming it's data. So there's a lot of it, right? Like a gig or so. And then mean, that's my average task da. There we go. Data read. Okay. And then my task data read skewness is 1.71. No idea. No idea what that even means. And of course, so you drill down, it's like, oh, if you want, So my time data skew, so it's stage 33, which no idea what stage 33 is, but it's a stage. So max is 96, mean is 21. My task duration skewness is 1.7. So is this some kind of standard deviation? Is that what it's telling me, that this is my standard deviation? I'm not sure what skewness is referring to in this sense. But we did succeed with everything, it looks like, which means that it should have moved on. So that was completed in 3 seconds. That's good. Register the trained light GBM regressor model using ML flow. Looks like that succeeded. So Spark jobs 10 of 10 succeeded. And it gives me lots of warnings about stuff, which don't know what that is, but it's inferred schema contains energy. Who knows what's talking about there? So now it's on to this one. We've got more diagnostics. Apparently, we got some more skewness here. Apparently, it just lives in the range of 1.7 to 1.73 for like every single one of our skewnesses, whatever that means. Then down here, we're supposed to, once we get to down to this, it's supposed to give us a URI that we need to copy. So this is, yeah, so then we get down to this. So this is supposed to be, okay, now the next one, the predictions is supposed to be from we do batch scoring and save predictions. So this thing's still running. Yep, still running. Let's go back to, maybe we've wasted enough time here that this thing has actually finished up. Not yet. We're at 13 minutes. Somehow it did remember my timing from the last time. We're at 14 minutes. This thing gets up to about 15 minutes or so. It should finish up. And then we'll see the New York City taxi prep table, although we won't see it here unless we refresh, but it will be in our lake house eventually. So I wonder which one of these is going to finish first so that we can move on. Step 4. Still running this step here. Good 3 minutes and 15 seconds, I guess. How long has it really been? Yeah, about 3 minutes and 15 seconds. Sort of keeping track. Not sure why this says 3 minutes and 26 seconds. It's the full, is that the full amount? I don't know. Sometimes this thing resets and sometimes it doesn't. Like when we went back and it said like 46 seconds, like the whole counter started over, but it really didn't. Okay, that looks like that. Okay, that succeeded. And then this thing ran and it succeeded. And then this one is running. 10 of 10 succeeded. It's still running. Well, it says it succeeded. Why is it still running? Okay, looks like it finished. And then this ran. And then I'm supposed to take this URI and I'm supposed to copy it. Copy it. All right. I'm not even having a bit of fun here. Also on the model UI, you can view the properties and metrics of a given run, compare the performance of runs, etc. So select the model name, New York City tax trip duration, light GBM in the model UI. Okay, so now that this thing finished, this created. Well, before we get to it, let's go back to here and see if this is finished, so we can then kick off notebook number 4 over here. Okay, so did this finish? Or something still running? Very hard to understand. Okay, now it's still in progress. 17 minutes. Oh, it's taken a long time. This never took more than 15 minutes before. Did it start over or something? I don't understand what's going on here. Summary of native method assortment. Seemed like the same task to me, although no, okay, that's a sub process. So job 12 is in progress. even though it succeeded. I don't know how I get more details about that. Okay, oh, supposedly it finished. Okay. Did it move on to the next stuff? No, it says it's in progress, even though the checkbox says it's finished. I don't know. They could have royally screwed some things up here by jumping back and forth. So apparently don't want to do that, I guess. Yeah, this is taking a long time. Processed one row. Let's go see what step 3 looks like in one that we already did. So this is the same. Yeah, completed it in 15 minutes. Of course, I don't have my run history, I guess, because this has already been ran and I probably stopped the session. And so therefore I can't see what went on, but that's how long it took before. About 15 minutes and 21 seconds. Don't know why this, but I just let it sit on that screen and didn't touch it. So maybe that is why I should have just left it on this screen and not touched it, because it looks like it's pretty much hosed. I would call this hosed. Okay, so I guess we won't be able to complete this uh in this run. I just didn't want you guys to sit here for 15 minutes and just watch paint dry, because I don't have that much interesting stuff to talk about. Okay, well, back to data science 1. Think this. So when you do this, right, you get this runs, right? These runs, which we have to copy this URI to go on to the next step. Copy that. What it does is back here in the workspace, it created this this experiment and this model. Okay, so that's the output of that step. Step 4, it should end up with this experiment in the model. You can go into this model, and it's got some stuff, right? Okay, so yeah, through version. So before I ran that again, I only had version 1 and version 2. Now I have version 3 and version 4. Not sure what this stuff's supposed to be telling me. Oh, can I scroll? I can scroll this way. It's very difficult, if not impossible, to scroll side to side, apparently. Oh, there, I finally caught it. Great UI, Microsoft. So compare model versions of this thing. So I can come in here, and again, it's like, okay, it's running a regression analysis, and it's got some stuff. It's got some experiments that it's done. I can click on those experiments and go to the experiments. Oh, it was gonna finally pull up some interesting information, maybe. I'm not sure why, how these things get named, but this one apparently is Boring Goat 2JDLCWC6. We have Magenta Guitar, and we have Lime Kite, and we have Loyal Foot. So exactly the reasoning behind why these experiments are called what they are, no clue. Not even sure I can rename them. But yeah, do I like my Loyal Foot experiment, or do I like my Magenta Guitar experiment? Who knows? If we go back, so there's some stuff. Performance training. Again, none of this is explained in the getting started. It's just, here's some stuff for you. I'm not sure exactly what you're supposed to do with any of this. But there it is. Okay, so I think we've been through train and track. Like I said, I created my experiments in that. So now I'm supposed to go into this notebook. And let's go back here. So yeah, that's all. They just leave you like, hey, here's a screenshot. Isn't this cool? Now we're supposed to follow along the notebook. And then do they even run the model transform? So they say import the required PySpark ML snapshot. train register light GBR model run URI using the run URI copied from the final step. Okay, they don't, again, they don't really tell you, but here in the code, enter the run URI from the part 04 here. So I go back here, and so I've done this before, but now I've got new runs. So I'm assuming I could use the old runs. Let's just paste in. So now there's the new run URI that I was given. So I pasted that in my code, and then I suppose and it's run all again. Maybe did it go? Oh, there it's fun. There we go. Finally started up. So now I'm doing some stuff, and I should end up with this NYC taxi pred. So this didn't exist until I ran this, and then it created my prediction data set. And just to make sure we don't screw this up, let's let this finish, because I don't think this takes particularly long. Yep, it's flying through this stuff. Yeah, so there's the new table. It is going to overwrite it, so that's good. So, I mean, I guess, it's doing a lot under the hood, I guess, with Spark and that sort of creating all of these different tasks and jobs. I don't know what those tasks and jobs are exactly. View predicted data frame. Select star. Huh. I was always told not to use select star. What do I, I'm sure all those professional developers that told me never to use select star didn't know what they were talking about. All right, so there is my table, more or less. So that created this table. So now if I go back to, do I have my lake house over here? Nope. That table didn't exist until that fifth step. If I go into my lake house, that created this prediction table. It'll eventually load. Anyway, moving on, because I'm tired of waiting for stuff. I'm supposed to create a Power BI report. So I created the prediction table. So now we're supposed to create a Power BI report. So we go prepare for creating reports. So I'm supposed to go back to, so there's my table, it loaded. Now I'm supposed to go to One Lake Data Hub and then pick my lake house. And so my lake house is lake, I can't use 2 because, anyway, we'll check back on it. So then what I'm supposed to do is open the lake house. I'm not going to wait for it. Okay, there we go. Then I'm supposed to click New Power BI data set. And I need my prediction table. So click that. Seems like time to get a drink. Okay, here's my prediction table. And then I can click on New Report. Takes me to a whole different tab. And then I can do stuff. So let's see, new report. I'm not going to create the whole report. I'll just show you the one that, but essentially you can create a report, right? So I could, like, for example, I could say, where's my slicer? My eyesight's not what it used to be, apparently. There it is. Slicer, I got my, this is just building a report, right? So pickup date. So use that as a slicer. And then I can say, I think the next step was a column chart. And you could do, well, what do you want for the next one? Time bins. Yeah, so time bins, which were created, again, that was created as part of the whole Python code. And then my trip duration, and then my predicted trip duration. Stuff like that. So I already built this report. So I go back to, let me go back here, go back to data science one. Where's my report? Here it is, taxi stuff. This is the report that I built by following the directions. There's some kind of problem in the data model where they have a longitude and latitude, which is, I don't think any taxi drivers are driving out to hit. I don't think they started out in the ocean. Could be wrong, but I don't think I am. I'm not sure what this map visual is supposed to tell you, other than like, it's all pretty homogeneous. I guess if I drill down really far, I wonder how far I can drill down. Yeah, I'm not sure what kind of insights you're supposed to get off of this. Because it just seems like a big, like every trip duration is about the same. Whatever. So yeah, you can do some stuff and report on it. But like, how useful is this really? Because in machine learning, this is like, who cares about this, right? The whole purpose of machine learning is that I want to create a web service at the end of this. And then I can write an application and I can enter some information, right? So like maybe it picks up, like I'm using my mobile phone. I want to know how long is it going to take me to get from, where I am to some other place. So I could enter, it picks up my longitude, latitude. Maybe I enter address, it figures out the longitude and latitude for that. You know, hit a button to have it go out and talk to the web service. It feeds that information to it, comes back with a prediction. Oh, it should take you, 17 minutes. But depending on, what day it is and what time of day it is and all these other factors, where you are, local traffic conditions, all that. This does none of that. So there is nothing in here, even though this is supposed to be an end-to-end tutorial. There is nothing in here about how you actually operationalize this thing. Now, so I mean, maybe I care enough to go in and figure out how you actually operationalize it. Again, in Machine Learning Studio Classic, it was literally you clicked a button and it was operationalized. The other thing that they don't get into in any of this is that also speaks to operationalization. I don't know why can't say it all of a sudden, even though I just said it like 12 times. Operationalization. My God, what is wrong with me? All right, so is like, okay, so I have all these notebooks, but so which ones do I have to run, and how do I refresh these things? Well, it seems like it's different. So if I get new data that comes in, right? How do I get this to run again to import the new data and overwrite the data that I have, right? So you got, you have run. So if you go to run, it does have a schedule here. They don't talk about this anywhere in the demo or getting started. But there is a schedule here. And so it seems like it allows you to turn a schedule on and a refresh. Of course, it's completely different interface, pretty much, than the scheduled refresh in Power BI, right? So, who cares about consistency or anything else? So this is a whole different refresh process, because I'm assuming it's running Spark jobs again. Whether they're Fabric Spark jobs or Synapse Spark jobs, who knows exactly? But let's do one final check. But now I have 5 notebooks. Do I have to refresh all of my 5 notebooks? And do I do them in order? Do I do them, do I need to make sure they're done sequentially? And exactly how do I ensure that? Or is this just an example, Greg, and you just put this all in one workbook and who knows? They don't explain any of it. So let's go back to workspaces, data science. Let's see if our job ever finished up. No, it's still in progress. Something totally went haywire with this. All right, flipping back and forth between stuff because I doubt in my lake house. And they see, I mean, this just fills up and it gets unmanageable. Taxi stuff, data ingest. Okay, I want to go back to my workspace. I bet if I go into my lake house, I bet that maybe the table's there. Oh, the table is there. Does it have any data in it? Oops. I click on something when I didn't mean to. I'm just trying to close these damn things. I mean, it gets really annoying. Get back to my, which workspace am I? I'm in Data Science 1. Damn it. Back to my lake house. So it did create my prep. It does have data in it. I don't know why that workbook is still chugging away. Did it somehow finish and like restart and like start another instance or something? I don't know. 'Cause it doesn't say that it ever got here. Like I can see that this succeeded, and I can see. I was running for like 34 minutes. So I don't understand how that table got created because this is supposedly still running, and I don't see anywhere where I actually saved it. It got down to here and saved it back to the Lake House Delta table. But apparently it did, because here's New York City taxi prep. And so this shouldn't have gotten created until this step was run. But I don't see any information that says that this step was run. Who knows? Still in preview, I guess. You can just blame it away on that. But yeah, so that if you notice, okay, so going back to our original example, I have no idea if we continued on with this whether it worked. But that table, you don't see the experiment model, so that doesn't actually happen until you run. It's trying to kind of step you through so you can see all the artifacts. So again, I'd have to go and say this and existing lake house to add it. I mean, the data exists, so I mean, theoretically, you could run all here. But again, I'm not going to have you guys sit through a boring type stuff. But if you ran through this, then those models would show up over there and all that. So anyway, the last step just creates the that predictions table. Okay, so yeah, again, I don't know if I learned anything from this other than, well, I guess I'm going to use this. You're going to have to learn Python code. I guess. I guess that's what I've learned. Now there are some other, I guess there's some other languages you can use with this, like Spark or Spark SQL or Spark R versus PySpark and that sort of thing. I'm writing Python code, but again, I just don't see they've added these things into Power BI, and I would say I gotta imagine that 80 90%, probably higher, of Power BI users don't know how to write any of these languages. I gotta believe that. Um, so like it sort of gets down to what's the point? I guess okay, okay, well that means that now you can have people go and create stuff in here, and then it's available to Power BI users to write reports off of. But I mean, couldn't you have done the same thing if you just left it on Synapse and just had one lake data hub just be able to pull in information from from both Spark environments and Power BI environments in like I don't know. It just seems like Microsoft's having, I mean, it's been 6 months, Fabric's still in preview, obviously still has a lot of issues. Just obviously has a lot of issues. I just wonder if they're just like, are they kind of like the issue that Power BI had with SharePoint early on when they tried to shoehorn a Power BI service into SharePoint. They tried to shoehorn everything into SharePoint back then. Project Service, Dynamics, you name it. In the framework, caused more problems than it was worth, essentially. I'm just wondering if they're running into similar issues here, where they're trying to shoehorn this Synapse stuff into the Power BI services framework, and they're just running into problems where it's just ugly, and the framework is actually not helping them, it's hurting them and causing them problems. Pure speculation on my part. All right. Well, that was not fun whatsoever. So I'm probably sure that I'll get a lot of dislikes on this because this was awful. It's an awful experience. Yeah, but fabric data science. Maybe I'll make a part three, where I like if I can figure out how you actually operationalize this stuff. Till then, have a good one.